welcome to Doors and Corners, a sci-fi and fantasy film commentary podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Zach. And every Friday we sit down and watch a science fiction or fantasy film and give our 2 cents on its quality, production, story, and trivia.
We watch the film together, but without sounds or visuals provided to avoid copyright issues. But if you do have access, we encourage you to join us and follow along.
Here, we like to keep things casual, and there may be discussions of spoilers or sensitive materials or language. But we do try and keep things clean and family-friendly. Ultimately, the goal of this podcast is to create the experience of us all sitting down and watching this movie together.
So get ready to hit that play button, because we're about to get started.
Damn Doors and Corners, I mean, that's where they get you.
Welcome back to Doors and Corners. I'm Brian.
I'm Zach.
And we are wrapping something up tonight, Zach. What are we wrapping up tonight?
We are wrapping up a mummy. Not in bandages. We're wrapping up a mummy in terms of a franchise.
And a whole month.
Yes, this was our Mummy Month, which once again, thank you, Brian, for indulging me in wanting to do Mummy Month.
This has been fun.
And we are going to be wrapping up with the most recent Mummy film to come out, 2017's The Mummy, which is a remake of 1999's The Mummy, which is a remake of 1932's The Mummy.
Yeah, I love
As you can tell, there's a lot of The Mummies.
Yeah, I love that 3 out of the 5 podcast titles this month are The Mummy with parentheses and a year after them. That's never happened before. And looking at our schedule, I don't think that's going to happen again for a long time.
I think the next time we have that scheduled, mild spoilers here, if life doesn't prevent us from getting to it, is War of the Worlds. We have War of the Worlds, War of the Worlds, and War of the Worlds. It'll be a great time, especially since we are going to be covering 2025's
I
absolute
totally forgot about the Netflix one. It's just, I haven't even watched it yet. I've just seen enough reviews. Or is it Amazon's? Oh, that's right, because there's Amazon Prime stuff in it.
The movie is Amazon.
Yeah, it's just an Amazon ad. Like, they save the world. That's right. I haven't seen that movie, but I've watched enough reviews of it that I feel like I've seen it. So
Same.
Yeah.
But we're talking about The Mummy, and this one is more commonly referred to as Tom Cruise's The Mummy. Because it was supposedly practically directed by the man. It was produced. He had some input on the writing, all kinds of things.
Yeah. And I've heard quotes from, people saying that he came in and just took it over because, he's ego and he's Tom Cruise, but I've also heard more than one quote out there from like fairly legitimate sources saying that Alex Kurtzman was out of his depth doing a film this big because he had never done one even remotely close to this kind of budget, and Tom Cruise basically kind of kept it on track because obviously Tom Cruise has been doing big movies for 40 years at this point or something like that.
And yes, so Alex Kurtzman, his strength is having franchises crash and burn.
Yeah.
So, those of you will quickly realize that I am very bitter against this particular gentleman for his handling of the Star Trek franchise. He's been like the showrunner of all the recent Star Treks, and he's done some good things. But everybody in the Star Trek fandom is referring to this as the Kurtzman era, and a lot of people want to take him out behind a woodshed.
Well, he took the 1/3 rule, which used to apply to a series, and he made it about all of Star Trek, which is like a third of Star Trek is like pretty solid. A third of it's like forgettable, and a third of it is just awful. Maybe not quite that ratio. It might be a little harder towards the awful, but yeah, Star Trek is near and dear to me, and he is not my favorite. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. I have loved a lot of what he has done. This guy wrote the show Alias. He wrote the movie The Island, which I really like. He wrote the first Transformers movie, which is really good. Mission Impossible 3. The underrated but still not great Cowboys and Aliens. He wrote 100 episodes. And the first Star Trek 09. I was getting there. Because in between that was he wrote and produced and created 100 episodes of the show Fringe, which is just a fantastic science fiction. just a really solid one. But then at the same time, he also wrote Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, Star Trek Into Darkness, and The Mummy, as well as The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And
Yeah.
all of those are just oof. Who does that? Like, talk about hit or miss.
Yeah. Well, he's who's his partner? Like his writing partner. He's worked with a ton.
Roberto Orci.
Orsi. He's not as famous, and I always wonder because I mean, are they still writing together, or was it just for a long time and not anymore? Do you know?
I believe that they did some stuff together. I know that Roberto Orci really got into procedural crime dramas, things like this show Scorpion that lasted for like 4 seasons, Hawaii Five-O that went for
Mm.
nearly 200 episodes. Um, let's see if I can find more information on writing. Yeah, they did a lot of stuff together up until about 2017 with the end of the TV show Sleepy Hollow, which is a fine dark fantasy show, but I absolutely despise its, shall we say, mythologizing of biblical references because it's
Mm.
just nonsense. And it's so central to that plot that as somebody with a like degree and background in theology and things like that, it's like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah, I always wonder with writing partners like that. You kind of always wonder, like, how much of the good stuff is the one versus the other, and when they split up, or I mean, just how much was the combination a positive because they kind of reinforce each other's strengths. So when you take them apart, you kind of the weaknesses of both individuals become more apparent, and yeah, I don't know because it's there's a few pairings like that over history and film history and television and film history, but it's yeah he's always come across to me as when he nails it, it's I wonder if it's other factors and it's kind of success in spite of him. I don't think he's like some kind of awful writer because I think that he's written enough stuff that's like, it's not, uh, I don't know. It's not an Oscar level writer, but he's also, not like a hack. I mean, there's plenty of TV writers you've never heard of that are way worse, right?
No, his thing, in my opinion, he is a fun writer.
Mm.
And that's both a boon and a curse specifically to Star Trek.
No, he
He
forgot
has
to
written
bring the
some
fun to this
really,
one. Sorry.
really fun stuff to Star Trek. Yeah, that's true. Getting back to the Mummy, I'll just finish this Star Trek thought. He brought some really fun stuff to Star Trek, but Star Trek requires a little bit more intellect, a little bit more um, patience, and he doesn't seem to have a whole lot of that. Um, but with this movie was just a mess behind the scenes from the sound of it. I honestly believe that this movie died in editing. I think that there is actually a fairly decent movie with some occasional really crappy writing parts of it mixed in, but I think that editing is where this movie died.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Although we were talking a little bit before we started recording. I will praise the achievements as much as the man is a little weird. I will praise the achievements of Tom Cruise many times, just as a force in filmmaking and somebody who's like a real positive to the film industry. Somebody who really believes in it passionately and wants it to be a big thing on a big screen that's communal and like a lot of things that I really love and appreciate. And guys like Nolan and Tarantino are also big proponents of that. But he just wasn't great in this, and I don't think an edit would have fixed that part. So I think you could have basically. I think you could have made the movie better for sure.
Yeah. I'm not saying this would have been like a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I'm saying it would have brought it up from like a 4 to a 6.
Yeah, and that would have. I think that could have helped a lot because this movie, it was. And you've mentioned this off the air to me before, and I think you might have mentioned at the end of one of the previous Mummies this month. There's an idea here that could have been really cool. Although this is definitely one of the best examples out there. I mean, this is even a better example than DC with the Snyderverse of how to just nuke your chances at a multiverse before you even get going. Step one is make a good movie. I mean, before the MCU was the MCU, Iron Man was a fantastic movie that just that movie was amazing all by itself. And if you don't start there, no photoshopped cast photo is gonna do you any good.
No, that's exactly it. You hit the nail on the head. I like how they set up a larger universe in this movie. That's controversial opinion. I understand that. A lot of people don't. They're like, oh, it was trying too hard. It absolutely was. But compared to other movies that tried to set up franchises, I liked how this one was done better. But part of that is also because I love these characters and creatures, and I want to see a superhero-esque um, team up of all of these classic monsters. I am the target audience for this movie, bar none.
Yeah.
Because this is what I wanted, but they couldn't figure out tone. They couldn't figure out characters. The character writing is just not good, and Tom Cruise was the wrong choice. But there's still gold to be had here. And I think we should get started.
We should,
because then we can talk about the good and the bad as we go.
And there are definitely just some like, all right, we can just talk over that in this movie. So.
Precisely.
All right. For anybody following along, we are hitting play right at the first frame of the Universal logo, which morphs into something else. Spoiler alert. So, gonna hit that play button in 3, 2, 1, go.
Do you know what I found out while doing research for this movie, though?
What's that?
Dun. Robert Orci.
Sorry.
Not Roberto Orci. I'm sorry. I was looking at Roberto Orci. Alex Kurtzman is a big fan of a video game series that you and I are big fans of as well, the Mass Effect series.
Ooh. Is he involved at all in the Amazon?
No, not that I'm aware of,
Okay.
but you can kind of see it, especially in the Star Trek video game that he wrote that was unfortunately not a great game, but also in how he's handled things like Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, I could see that, I guess. Here we go. The reverse
In the
logo.
interest of the Dark Universe.
Yeah.
Which, again, I like the idea. I like the logo even. And they're even still using that same logo for the recent Dark Universe expansion to Universal Studios Orlando, Florida, that is apparently really good. And it's actually brought some more attention back to this movie because people are just like, dang, you know what? Maybe this could have been really cool.
Yeah,
And
there's...
Here we also open...
Go ahead.
We open... This is such a weird opening, okay? I wanted to talk about this. We have the little text there, death is but a doorway. And then we have a flashback, modern, and then another flashback with 3.5 minutes of narration. Like...
It's super heavy at the beginning
Again,
here, yeah.
This movie died in editing, because who the hell decided this was a good idea?
Oh, yeah. Opening at the Crusades, this is the kind of thing that you quickly throw this, because this is like doesn't mean anything. They explain this later, but you could have absolutely taken about 20 seconds of film time, later in London, and told us why this is important, and when the Crusaders are coming back as mummies later. You did not need this.
No, you really didn't. At least not here. And it's just I feel like they wanted to open it with the whole flashback to Egypt, but I also feel they were like, no, we don't want to be too much like the 99 Mummy. I think they should have just been too much like the 99 Mummy.
Well, that's where, yeah, they either. I do love the idea they used a drill that big to like break into a like an ancient tomb, because I'm pretty sure that's not how any real archaeologist would do it unless you know exactly the layout already and like knew the wall that wouldn't matter.
Well, I don't think these are supposed to be archaeologists. You even hear them sit there and say like, "What is this? What the bloody hell is that?" And right here you have this.
You know what? You're right. Sorry.
But here's the weird thing. Like, why are they showing all of this now? This is something that could have been later in the movie just fine. But they're throwing it here at the beginning, and then they jump into the flashback into what happened with the mummy character. It makes no sense. It's such a weird choice.
Yeah, it's just, you don't need to introduce Russell Crowe's character here. You could have kept all of this for later. You needed to I mean, you should have leaned right into her, the mummy's backstory, and then just like gone.
This
Yeah,
movie isn't really about the mummy. It's the Tom Cruise movie featuring the mummy.
yeah, yeah. The Mummy is. I mean, and to be fair, 99 movie
Mhm.
also has very little actually about Imhotep. It's much more about the Brendan Fraser's character and him and Rachel Weisz, their journey. Like you can do that, but you need a character and a group of characters that you just instantly love. That you have banter, you have fun, you have the chemistry and the tone of that film is what carried it. And if you don't have that, you need a super compelling villain or story to get you there. And this movie just doesn't have that. Because
No, it doesn't have
the
either of those
mummy's
things, unfortunately.
motivation is I mean, Imhotep, again, not a lot of screen time in the first movie. I think what's halfway through that movie before he even like pops up, but you at least get I was in love and I was put to death after she killed herself to preserve our love, and I was going to bring her back. Like there's a motivation there that gives you a tiny bit of sympathy, and kind of like this is similar to what we were talking about with Tomb of the Dragon Empire, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. She's just a villain. She's just a nasty person who just wanted power and murders a baby. So you have zero sympathy for her. You have zero interest in understanding her motivations because she's just an evil woman.
Mhm.
And
And
that's a
one of those
mistake.
things where it's just like, did you ever like? It's so strange because this could be an interesting and compelling villain. She wants to be the queen, and she's willing to murder in order to get to it. She's willing to sell her soul, but they do this weird thing with her motivation where she's like, um, the dialogue here, okay? They're like, um, she swears vengeance, vowing revenge. She made a choice to embrace evil. What revenge? Revenge against who?
Yeah.
Like, if she wanted to put like a vendetta, that would make sense to me. If they use the word vendetta instead of revenge, and then later they use that they're going to go out and wreak vengeance upon the world, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And it just required small changes.
Well,
And
also,
I feel like
Go ahead.
there was a different thing here or something. I don't know.
well, in bringing in the whole male vessel for Set, I feel like it was just like
Mhm.
okay, so you needed a way to make Tom Cruise's character matter more, even though it seems random that it was him. It just it could have been fine, but it's explained so clunkily here. It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Um, See, that's something that could have worked.
Yeah.
For me, because Set is the god actually of like fire and chaos. Okay. Deserts, storms, disorders, violence. He's kind of like a god of war. Everybody associates it with like Anubis as the bad guy, but Anubis is actually a pretty chill guy, right? Um, and so having Set be the right one, I'm like, okay, that works. But one of the things they could have used is they could have used like a they could have used actual Egyptian mythology. They could have had her be like these two gods wanted these vessels, and she could have been like Nephthys, who was in a relationship with Set in some of the other things. And that could have been really cool. And so she's Nephthys, or possessed by Nephthys, and she needs to get a body for Set. And it also makes sense why she would be mummified alive, okay? Imagine if she's possessed by this deity, she can't die. So you can't just kill her, so they bury her as best they can.
Yeah.
That would make sense. And I think that somebody had that idea and they changed it in post-production.
That would have that would have made it all make sense a little better because one of my biggest complaints is the as explained in this film. Again, I'm not I don't think you get to claim, well, if you understand Egyptian mythology, this, or if you're like, no. You have to take a film as what it gives you. Like you don't, it's like saying, well, if you read the book, it's like, nope, that might be interesting, but it doesn't help the movie. Like that's a cheat to me. And as
Bingo.
this movie presents it, the reason why Set's coming into the picture and why she needed to make the pact and what the whole point of that was just just is completely lost, and why Tom Cruise is the the recipient of that new thing and kind of the whole possession thing throughout this. It's just, it all seems very accidental and just, well, because the plot says so type of stuff. It could have absolutely been done better if it had been, maybe it was in there and they edited it out. Maybe it was, they just, decided to simplify it. But it ends up dumbing it down in a way that is, it makes it way less interesting.
Also, like, I saw some people critiquing that scene that we just saw of people like shooting at the ancient relics and statues. I was just like, they wouldn't be doing that. Why would these insurgents be doing that? That's exactly what happened, especially in Iraq. So many ancient artifacts and ruins were destroyed by the terrorist groups over there because it was seen as a pagan like insult to Islam.
Yeah. This whole thing, again, you can tell that there was at least a little thought to, like, okay, so we gotta, try to be lighthearted. We gotta try to be jokey here. We gotta, just have this little interaction that's, I think that they're trying to capture some version of Brendan Fraser and is it Kevin O'Donnell, who was Benny in the first movie? Like, they were trying to get a little bit of, that kind of, like, but it just doesn't work. And it's not because these aren't two talented actors, obviously. They're both very talented actors. But it's just, this feels forced. Like, it's not, I don't know, slipping it out. And this whole thing, the whole, haha, we're just going to be, it's going to be fast and easy. And then immediately cut to, everything going wrong. And there's plenty of examples.
It feels like Guardians of the Galaxy to me.
Yeah, but just not done as well. It's just not.
No.
This feels like a very, very cliche script, right now.
A very, very what script?
Cliche script. As far as like how you make jokes, like the kind of dialogue you write, and then like this seems like in writing class. It's like, okay, so we're gonna have characters, and we're gonna establish the dominant one and the submissive one, and he's gonna do something really mean, but it's gonna be covered up because they're kind of joking, and then they're going to joke about how it's all going to be great, and then immediately cut to where it's all not going great, and the dialogue's going to make it seem like this is normal, so it's kind of funny still, and it's just, I can see the outline in, like, 101, script writing for an action film with a few jokes thrown in here, and it's like nothing beyond that.
No, very, very true. To me, this feels like an Uncharted movie. This actually feels like what an Uncharted movie should feel like to me, to be honest, with better dialogue, hopefully. But this action sequence is like what I would want out of an Uncharted movie. And one of the reviewers that I was listening to, who, like all of the reviewers, were very unkind to the movie, still said that this is the best Uncharted movie that we've gotten so far.
No, see, the best Uncharted movie is still that like 12-minute Nathan Fillion thing he did like couple years back.
Oh, so good, so good. But this is, again, another one of those things, like, I love Tom Cruise also. We've talked about this. There's only like 2 or 3 movies in the last 20 years that he's done that I haven't liked. I wasn't even a big fan of, what was that, Rock of Ages, but he was so freaking funny in that movie. He was so good.
Very committed.
Very committed. I actually, while researching this, I found somebody who cut together his musical performance in Rock of Ages and Russell Crowe's musical performance in Les Miserables.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, it was hilarious.
Okay, I gotta find that.
Yeah. But these Tom Cruise was not the right choice for this movie. No. I get why they wanted big star power. His influence in this movie obviously was key to the stunt work, because they have some amazing stunts in this movie. And look at this. This looks really good. There's obviously CG, but there's some great practical stuff going on here. They look dirty and messed up, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because that's something that the freaking Uncharted movie didn't do. It was clean and pristine the whole time. But I don't know. Another actor should have been in this role. This is one of those things where I don't want to say Chris Pratt, but part of me says Chris Pratt is like the only one that I could see in a role like this and working.
You're You might think that I'm
Yeah.
crazy, but if you want like a big leading man who could pull off kind of that like tough guy, but also genuinely can be funny, stick with
Mhm.
me for a second here. I think that with the right director and writer, Brad Pitt could have killed this movie.
Oh, yeah, that's very true. Brad Pitt is great.
Because he can be
No,
very
I don't
masculine,
disagree
but
with you at
also
all.
very funny. You know?
Oh, did you see Bullet Train?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. He's in the last couple of years, he's been hitting some really good, performances. And I mean, but he can do all the action stuff, no problem. But man, when he has the right writing for humor, his comedic timing is very good.
Yeah. Oh my God, did you realize we didn't do Sweet Deets?
Oh
Oh
wow,
my
yeah.
gosh.
We just were like, let's just get this thing going.
Let's get it going. I was so excited because this actor, he's not in it for very long. This is a genuinely great actor. His name's Courtney B. Vance. And everything I've seen this guy in, he has been fantastic. This is Jones from Hunt for Red October.
Seriously?
Okay. Yeah.
I did not. Okay, now I gotta like look at him again when he gets back into frame here at some point.
Right.
Man,
Mm-hmm.
it's when I saw this. I
absolutely
forget this actress's name. What's her? So
This actress is, I actually thought it was the actress from Fantastic Four until I was looking up the details
No,
and went, oh,
it's-
that's not her. No, her name is Annabelle Wallace.
Annabelle Walls.
And
Because Jan and I have
she's the
been.
voice of the Discovery.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say because
Mhm.
I recognize her immediately because Jan and I actually for the last 6 months, kind of in and out, we've been going through Peaky Blinders, and she's big in that Netflix show. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's the Irish girl from Peaky Blinders.
So this character, Annabelle Wallace's character, her name is Jenny Halsey. I hate the dynamic that they create between the two of them. Oh, we hooked up previously. There's not any chemistry between them. I actually really don't like that they chose to do this romantic relationship between them. One of the things, so I explained this to Brian beforehand. I watched this movie about a year and a half ago, and I ended up on Reddit discussing it with some people back when I was in my Reddit phase, which was a dark time. And I ended up writing essentially an essay of how I would fix this. And the main thing that I think could have made this a much better movie is the removal of the loving, like romantic relationship between the leads and have it be siblings. Wouldn't it make a lot more sense or be kind of more interesting if it was his sister, or if you're going to have an older lead like Tom Cruise being 55 at the time of this making, which he looks great. You know, father-daughter relationship or something like that.
Yeah,
I think
if you
that
want,
a familial relationship would have been a better choice than a romantic one.
yeah. Well, if you're gonna have a antagonistic yet romantic relationship, you need actors who have like natural chemistry. I mean, like again, undoubtedly Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz had that, right? Okay, the size of this hole does not match what we were looking at above ground. Just got to say.
I don't know. It seemed to be all right. I mean,
like
it opens up a lot into a huge cavern,
No,
but
it does, but
seems fine.
that one shot to me, like when I was watching this earlier in the week, Jen was immediately like, "That hole wasn't that big," like because they're standing next to it, and I mean, them as scale when they went down into it, it was just, anyways. Sorry, it's a minor thing, but if you're gonna have antagonistic but also romantic, you need to have actors that have the kind of chemistry that Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz has. Not exactly them, but you know what I mean? Like, you need to have that level of just natural chemistry. And if you can't cast that and find that, then yes, I completely agree with you that a good alternative would be a sibling thing, a mentor-mentee, you know, like maybe like an old professor or something, like an old teacher, something like that. Yeah, a family thing if you wanted to have even more history going back to like, you know, being kids. Yeah, because
I
when
actually
you go
really
romantic,
hate that trope. Like myself, I like the idea more of it being siblings because like it would make sense that they would see each other if she's an archaeologist in Baghdad and they run into each other. He steals something from her because he's a dick. And it could create this kind of divisive relationship between them. I actually ended up writing an outline for something different based on my ideas for this. And like, what if they made the character more interesting? What if they had it so that she was like an amputee or something like that. Adding a little bit more to their characters that make them stand out as individuals instead of being these just cardboard cutout caricatures. Like, oh, she's smart, but she's just another fake blonde, fake eyebrows, lots of makeup. It's annoying, and I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a good shot right here, though. By the way, I gotta say the cinematography, the lighting.
Yeah,
that's a trailer shot right there.
cinematography is good in this one.
Yeah. Okay, this is a weird thing to bring up, but Tom Cruise's flashlight just is like the whole like triple flashlight that he's kind of holding, like reverse grip thing. It's just a weird flashlight. I don't know why that stands out so much to me, but it does.
Is that like an army thing?
No, I mean, I've never seen a flashlight like it. I think a prop person just had some fun, but like, look at it. It's just odd. Like,
Yeah, I could see that.
it's just like very bulky. You don't need anything that big to create a lot of light these days. Oh man.
Right? It looks more like it's designed, given the diffusion of those three bulbs. It seems almost like it should be it seems almost like it should be some sort of lantern instead of having actually directed light, or maybe it's supposed to be kind of a combination of those things.
Yeah. Is the mercury a real thing? Go ahead. Sorry.
So that's okay. We talked about this a little bit last week. The mercury thing. I heard people really criticize how this was done. I completely disagree. I love this tomb. I love the design. I love how they do it. Okay. You have these huge, thick chains. You have the liquid mercury. The liquid mercury is based heavily on the tomb of the terracotta soldiers that was found over in China because they used rivers of liquid mercury in it. Okay. And they thought that it represented purity. They thought it warded off evil. It was also a trap because it would cause hallucinations and madness and other problems, right? If you have something submerged in liquid mercury, it will not remain submerged for very long. So she specified here, either she did or she's about to, that the chains are not there to hold something up. The chains aren't for bringing it up. The chains are for holding it down, which all these people are like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would it be designed that way? Because the sarcophagus would be buoyant in liquid mercury. So it would have to be held down in the middle of it. And I think that that's genuinely genius design for this tomb. I love it so much. That's anything.
Yeah, I don't have any issue.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Oh, you're fine. I don't mind this tomb. I do think that in a second here, I've and again, I think they were trying to copy the 99 Mummy, the kind of casual, like, you know, I'm going to pull my gun out and just solve a problem by shooting something that Brendan Fraser did in that with, like, the mirror thing. But it's just, it doesn't work tonally here. It's just weird.
I kind of disagree. I think that they have established that he's a rogue. He's reckless. Yeah. He wants money. He wants treasure. She's said, like, oh, it's for holding something down. So he's like, he's not interested in curses. She doesn't know about any of that. He's not a believer in the supernatural. So he's just like, screw it. I want to see what's in there. Oh no, this accidentally happened. There's theoretically a better way to do it, but I don't think that's out of character for what we've seen from the character so far.
Yeah. No, it's not the character.
There's lots of little nitpicks that I hear that I don't agree with, despite recognizing that this movie has a lot of problems, and that was one of them.
Like I said, I'm not saying it's out of character for him. I just, again, it's an example for me of the tone of the film kind of being all over the place. And
okay, what do you think of these guys?
So I don't like how quickly they kind of disappear again. Like, you have this, he gets bit, starts shooting, and then for some reason, are they leaving because of the shooting? Is that what makes every spider in this place like run away?
I have no idea.
Because I feel like they just came in, bit him, he shot, and then they're all there and they all leave. It's just
very much so.
Yeah, it's just kind of a weirdly paced moment.
I have another rant.
Go ahead.
Camel spiders. Camel spiders are horrific, okay? They're not even actually spiders. They're more closely related to scorpions. They're not arachnids. And he's right. They're not poisonous, but they are venomous. They, some of them, especially in the Saudi Arabian Peninsula, have this bite that puts a neurotoxin that actually paralyzes your body and makes you numb, they're flesh eaters. And so you'll have people who would get bitten by these things experience a paralysis and then wake up partially eaten.
That's truly awful.
They're horrifying animals.
Yeah.
But this whole thing with her kind of imprinting on him as like, you're going to be the one that I'm going to use to embody Set. I don't mind this. A lot of people in the reviews got bent out of shape about it. I think that given that they have established she needs a male host, he's strong, reckless, attractive, the first that she saw, I don't mind it on a narrative level.
I don't mind the idea of him being the focus of this. I think that why it's happening and why it's him is super thin. I would have enjoyed a little more narrative tissue to set this up. I don't mind the idea. I just think that the movie just did a bad job of making it matter and making you understand why it's happening as the audience.
Oh, I didn't have that problem, but that might just be my particular movie-ishness and kind of how I see things being written. It's one of my least... I absolutely could be done better, but it's one of my lesser gripes. Because I think that you have a lot of things in this movie that would be excusable if the core problems, such as tone, editing, and actor choice, were fixed. Nobody would care. And that's one of them.
Yeah, no. If this movie was dripping with charisma and characters that you just loved watching do their thing, you don't need this story to like make perfect sense. I mean, honestly, like, you know, the original Mummy, which we both love, like, you know, isn't some masterclass in like plot device, you know, like plotting. It's just, but you don't care because it's dripping with charisma. The action is fun. The leads are great. So you're just along for the ride. You're just having a great old time. But you've got to get all that stuff to the point where the plot is almost secondary.
Yeah. I saw a lot of reviewers also critiquing how they're transporting this thing.
It's perfectly fine.
It's perfectly fine. The thing is, I was talking to a buddy of mine because I saw this with a friend of mine who's in the military, multiple tours, and he was talking about how a lot of the things about the military in this might seem unrealistic, and there is some things in there, but like their attitude towards soldiers being idiots and how they transport things, it's not so bad. They're like, why would they put it down and put it on a truck if they're just moving it, right? When they can just have the helicopter take it over there, even if it's a little unstable. These pilots are cowboys. They like doing fun things, right?
No, my only problem with this scene is that Hollywood continues to operate under the myth that the active duty frontline military uses Hueys still, which they haven't in a long time.
I'll be totally honest. I didn't even pick up that was a Huey.
Yeah,
I'm guessing
it's
that
so
was them
recognizable
trying to
to the
rely
public.
On practical effects.
Yeah, well, the reason they're so abundant, and Hollywood knows that the U.S. citizen just recognizes them as a military helicopter so instantly. Even though almost all that stuff is about Blackhawks to this day, even the cargo stuff.
Yeah, I love that plane.
Oh yeah,
the C-130.
It's iconic for a reason.
These things are terrifying.
They are cool though. I flew around Lake Tahoe on one of those with the back door open, checking out the lake. You know, as they were just like showing us like low level. You know, we were all strapped in, just checking it out. It was awesome. Good memory.
So this, like I said, I don't like this romantic relationship. Him checking her out there, I thought was a great scene. It felt very realistic. It felt on brand.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was something about her. I was just like, yeah.
Most guys in that position
exactly
would glance. And actually, this is a weird thing to point out, but I appreciate that it wasn't. It was like her stomach, because it's so normal to have it be, you know, just other things, and it was like, but that's also like something that guys are very like, So it was just, I appreciate that they went for the non cliche female anatomy to stare at.
No asses and no boobs.
And I like both those things, but a good stomach is also, quite sexy.
Yeah. I hope that my wife thinks a good stomach is nice and sexy because mine is prominent.
Yeah.
But Brian's over here dieting and losing weight. I'm over here like with a 101-degree fever and
Oh.
can't even get up to go run.
Oh.
Yeah, I've got a fever, everybody. You're getting fever dream, Zach.
Nice.
Welcome to the nightmare.
So, do you think that this? Okay, so they're in Iraq, right?
Yes, they were in Iraq / Syria.
Did I miss dialogue? Because I've only seen this once, so I'm projecting a tiny bit here. Do I miss dialogue where they somehow get to London in a C-130 from Iraq, like pretty fast?
No, they're just sleeping. It has this whole scene. This is supposed to be kind of a time jump. You've got Jake Johnson there, Sergeant Vale, and he's sleeping as he's getting possessed. And I think that this is supposed to be taken over for just hours and hours, right?
Because yes, that is a long flight, especially in a propeller-driven aircraft.
You see, this sequence could have been something, okay? Imagine if they didn't do that big opening sequence, right? And the flashbacks that we're seeing again, and they have it so that she's reading the inscription to him, okay? And as she's reading the inscription, like you're getting the flashbacks, and it would also be like him showing genuine interest in what she's doing. She's sharing her passion with him. There's dialogue, there's talking going on between the two of them, and they're building rapport while you're getting exposition. Because they go over the same exposition like 4 times in this movie, and that was one of them. But also, yeah, you see how he just sleeps, right?
Yeah.
And suddenly the girl's on her computer. Mm-hmm. Ugh. I'm sorry, Courtney B. Vance.
Yeah, that is brutal. Like they do like hit that moment well, and like the sound editing and just the I do. It goes in a little
easy for being stabbed in the chest, but
yeah, I mean, as long as he was a little off, it was a very sharp knife, and he didn't perfectly hit the breastbone. But I do appreciate that this is one of those scenes where pretty quickly somebody does point out. We're in a pressurized aircraft. Do not start shooting just flippantly. That's a bad idea.
No. They actually have a very specific 9mm round that they've developed for air marshals and firing in aircraft. It's a really interesting. It's a hollow point that has a glass tip that's meant to shatter inside of a person or in the wall of an aircraft to immediately stop it. Really interesting technology.
Now, do you think
I doubt they have any in their guns.
You think that these crew members would have this in this setting? I'm guessing that they would have just your standard 9mm Parabellum.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing to me. So
it makes sense that they would develop that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of those examples of this is on one hand an amazing sequence that the behind the scenes is really cool that they did this. Tom Cruise loves his practical stunts. But it's just, it doesn't. I mean, they say it later that the Mummy brought the plane down specifically because, they could like sense that the stone was down here buried with the Crusaders.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still just, it seems like this just happened because the movie wanted to just have an action sequence and kind of make this happen. I don't know. I mean,
that's how they write all action sequences, though. I genuinely think this is one of the better parts of the movie. Yeah. I don't think that there's anything wrong with this sequence whatsoever. I love the way that it was filmed. It also gave me one of my absolute favorite, like, sound bites of all time. Okay? Did you see the original trailer for this movie?
I know about it, but I didn't see it in the theaters. I watched it on YouTube later.
When it was first posted on YouTube, suddenly somebody uploaded the wrong file, and this entire sequence was in the trailer, and it had no music or extra sound effects. It was just Tom Cruise screaming. It's hilarious.
Yes.
But, okay, this plane crash, though, one, it shows her power over vermin, because that is a thing, right?
Yeah.
She did it with these crows or ravens, whichever one it's supposed to be. It has this moment where he chooses to save her instead of himself, which is a really good character moment. It shows his priorities and his willingness. It has the thing where he dies and he comes back. So it shows that he has been chosen. There is something special about him. It gets them to England. It gets them close to the knife, which they need. This moment has story importance, and they're able to make a cool action sequence out of it. I don't understand why people get so bent out of shape about it.
And
it's not necessarily a good story.
Yeah, no, and
I'm not saying that.
The sequence itself is very solid. I don't disagree, and by no means is even remotely like a weak point in the film. I think it's a very good, well filmed sequence. I think it was just the transition from Egypt, from Iraq to there. Yeah, I wish that they had done more with the flashback, or the kind of flash into his I don't know, the visions that Tom Cruise was having. I wish they had done a little bit more. They should have done some more building of the lore and the universe there, just to kind of, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much agree.
Yeah.
Here we get okay. I had some people say that they believed that digital de-aging was used on his body in this scene. Do you think that's true?
No, it's not.
Because he's 55 years old in this scene, which later in the movie you have Russell Crowe say that you might be younger than me, but Tom Cruise is actually 2 years older than him. And Tom Cruise is in incredible shape, but you do see the signs of age. You see the bulging veins that aren't necessarily workout veins. You see the kind of sag to the pecs and everything. I don't think that that's digital.
No,
but it might be.
I genuinely, because I've also seen
send it into Corridor Crew.
I mean, there's been if there is, it's pretty lightweight. Like, I mean, I guess if I was somebody who's like, yeah, you're gonna de-age my body, I would have made it look more, I don't know, like your typical, like he looks like an in shape older guy. He doesn't look like an in shape 30-year-old. He looks like an in shape 50-year-old. So I also just, Tom Cruise is a guy who I have no doubt is in very good shape in real life for the stuff that he does.
Oh my God, yeah.
So if there is, I would wholeheartedly think that it was, I mean, not de-aging, more of just like touch up, if that makes sense.
I agree. So do you remember this sequence? Because I was hearing some people saying that this sequence goes on for like way too long, of them like going through the mud and looking for the sarcophagus. Again, this is another one of those things that I kind of like it. I think that it builds like tension. It makes them look a little bit more realistic. I like the way that they address some things. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah,
I didn't think that it was a boring scene. I like the atmosphere that they're putting together here.
I wish the movie. This is where I think this scene is fine, but it also to me is an example of where the movie misstepped, because
the tonal.
Because if the movie had been a darker film, if the movie had tonally committed a little bit more to the horror side of tone, this would have been an amazing sequence. And because I think the sequence in vacuum is actually really good. It's tense, it's moody. I love the lighting. It's an appropriate use of lens flares with the flashlights are shining towards the camera. I love the
That's
crows.
Like hint of violin.
Yeah, the when the mummy starts moving, the creepy movement, the actual like the effects work I think is really good. I think it's just it feels out of tone with the rest of the film, and that's I think the problem with it. Not that the sequence itself the sequence itself is well done. I just think that it doesn't fit with the rest of the film super well.
I do like that they included the interior sarcophagus, because that's something that lesser movies wouldn't do, because these sarcophaguses had multiple layers to them. They were insulated. But yeah, like I like that.
Yeah.
But you're right. It doesn't match with the tone, but also that's a problem that I've noticed in my own critiquing of movies, is that movies with uneven tone don't bother me as much as sometimes. This is one of those movies where the first time I saw it, the uneven tone didn't bother me at all because I wasn't thinking about it. It wasn't something that I was looking out for. It wasn't until it was pointed out just how uneven it was that it became so apparent. I was just kind of blind, I guess.
Yeah, well, see, for me,
Mhm.
it comes down to I'm going to use a music analogy, which I know is not your favorite, but there
Forte.
is there is music that is messy on purpose. Music that is kind of, it has key changes and kind of weird and odd, but when you listen to it, if you understand what's happening, it's very intentional. It's trying to do something with it. It's not music that sounds rough because that's, the best they could do. It's actually, somebody who's very talented doing that. Then there's also the opposite, which is nope, you you aren't good enough to pull that off in a way that's interesting and makes sense. And this to me is an example of it's the point I'm saying is that there's ways you can do that. There are ways that you can have an intense comedy and drama, and there's ways that you can have horror and comedy. I mean, I think of like
Mm.
Shaun of the Dead is so funny, yet is genuinely scary at times also, right?
Really?
You could,
I wouldn't have thought of it that way.
I mean, I was sorry, maybe not scary, intense. Maybe that's a better word. It's very intense at
Yeah.
times. Everything at the bar at the end, like there's ways to mix genres that can be done very very well, and it with the right hand, both in the writing and the directing chair, it can be done. This is an example of, I think, where you're trying to, and even the original, I would say the 1999 Mummy nailed I mean, the scarabs are like, oh my gosh, at times.
Yeah,
And
they're
there's some
terrifying.
genuinely tense moments in that movie. And then there was also the what is a place like this doing on a girl like me? I got that backwards, but you know what I mean. Like that movie nails the blend of comedy and tense. I wouldn't call it full on horror, but definitely a serious movie at times.
Yeah.
This movie is
And
not
that
good
moment
enough
there,
to mix that.
and that moment there of like her crawling towards the church and everything like that is really good. And like, look, you have another flashback and another exposition thing here. They could have established all of that in one single scene or broken up into two scenes. But instead, we have it at the beginning. We have it when she's looking at the coffin, or sarcophagus. We have it again here, and then we have it again with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde over there. They didn't need all that. This scene is so stupid and redundant, and I hate it. Because this leads into one of the areas of the movie that I think broke the editing. Okay, we have her being creepy, crawling towards that church. It then goes into exposition and flashbacks. Important information that you need, apparently. It goes into him going in the bathroom and having a conversation with Jake Johnson, which I think is pretty good. I didn't know that most people consider it a blatant ripoff of American Werewolf in Paris because I'd never seen that movie, but apparently it's a ripoff of that. Leading into the scene in the alley where she's trying to like lure him to the church, and it like this the next 10 to 15 minutes of this movie could have been so much better and written so much more tightly. It's one of the cardinal sins of this film,
Yeah. Well, and it's
in my opinion.
this movie. We didn't do our sweet deeds. This movie is not that long. It's an hour and 50 minutes, and it feels long.
You said an
because
hour and 15.
50, hour and 50. It feels long though, and that is you almost have to try to do that, to make a movie that's sub 2 hours feel long.
Yeah.
Because
This
it's just
movie could have had another 15 minutes in it and nobody would have cared. But it already feels too long because it's just so like messy in its writing.
movie looks
Yeah.
good, by the way. I mean, we've said this a few times. The effects work on the mummies, I think, are really good. Like their movement, their texture, they're just like yucky, like in a way that like looks good. And Nick's like his face and just the effects on him, I think, is pretty good.
Oh, who is it that you're referring to as Nick? Because I
Sorry.
see the character of Vale and I see Tom Cruise playing the character of Nick Morton.
You're right. Sorry, his. I don't know why I said Nick. His
I know exactly why he said Nick, because Joe Johnston plays the character of Nick in New Girl, and he's hilarious and iconic and amazing.
Yeah,
And
so-
I always want to call him Nick because Jake Johnson is the most boring name in the world.
Yeah. So Jake Johnson's character. Sorry.
Vale.
Vale. They did a good job on him, and like again, Tom Cruise and him actually do have a little bit of chemistry. If it had been
especially like this whole like you walked into the ladies' bathroom.
Yeah, like there's there's as much as we've both said, and I agree, Tom Cruise was the wrong choice for this role. There's a way that you could have, I think, played this to his strengths and found a way to make a film that would have been interesting. Okay, I have a total.
Well, part of that is
thing.
the fact that he has absolutely no chemistry with female leads in pretty much any movie.
It's very rare. So what do you think about? I was thinking about this. I think they made a mistake, as much as I get why, because it's their most viable franchise in this universe, the Mummy. But I think that having The Mummy be the movie that they introduced this franchise with was a mistake, because it is the one that has the most direct comparison to a recent, somewhat recent, very well-regarded and beloved film. And if they had tried to launch this with a different movie than The Mummy, if they had tried to launch this with the Dracula or with the Jekyll or with the Invisible Man, and like some other film to kind of set the tone before you go back to The Mummy, where people are going to inevitably compare it with a very beloved, film.
Well, I think the issue that you're going to run into is the fact that they tried that twice and they failed. This is the third attempt at a Dark Universe franchise, behind 2004's Van Helsing and 2014's Dracula Untold. So this was attempt number 3 in order to start a franchise. So I get what you're saying, and you're absolutely right, but they already did it, and they failed.
And I mean, it's interesting with Van Helsing, they even tried it with the same creative, force as The Mummy. So
yeah, well, they wanted The Mummy to be part of it. The idea was that Van Helsing would end up tying into the Mummy movies later down the road, and you'd be able to bring the characters back in order to have them kind of working together somehow. Yeah. There was an idea of a shared universe. And I would love to do Van Helsing on this podcast. Oh my God, it is so long. It is so dense. And it is just so over the top. It'd be like running a marathon.
Yeah, no, we'll totally get to it. Because, I mean, that's a movie that I know is not good, but it's been so long since I've seen it that I want to revisit it. Because that was a movie I very much anticipated and looked forward to going to see in the theater. I was like hyped up for it to be amazing, and then I went and actually saw it, and it was not that. But
yeah,
so I haven't revisited it in so long that I'm looking forward to it when we get to it. But it's
I really wanted to see it, but my parents wouldn't let me go.
I was married with kids at that point in my life. It's funny. The only 2 people that Tom Cruise has had any real chemistry with on screen, in my mind, is one he was married to. He had chemistry with Nicole Kidman in 2 different films. And then he actually did have chemistry with Cameron Diaz in Night and Day. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Oh, yeah, that was a fun one. I thought you were going to say one of the Top Gun movies, and I was going to be like, sir.
No. He did not. Him and Kelly McGillis did not, as much as I adore the first Top Gun movie. And actually, Jennifer Connelly, oh my gosh, she aged well, especially in Top Gun Maverick. I mean, I'm just, dang.
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan as well.
And I don't think that I think that she and Tom Cruise had, I think, a respectable amount of chemistry in that movie. Fine. Yeah, it wasn't like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't like amazing. But Cameron Diaz and him in Night and Day, that was like the one time where I was like, okay, this actually worked. They bounced off each other really, really well. And part of it was, I think Tom Cruise was just letting go in that movie a little bit and just having some fun in a way that you don't always see. And so if they had gotten somebody like that, but Cameron Diaz was playing very much a I don't know how to describe it. She was a lighter character. She wasn't a character who took herself super seriously. She was kind of a fish out of water for a good chunk of that film. And I'm not saying that's what they should have done here, but yeah, again, as much as Tom Cruise is a very handsome specimen, he is not somebody who clicks with most women on screen.
No, I mean, you can read into that however you want, but they did have an entire South Park episode called "Tom Cruise Won't Come Out of the Closet." I don't actually believe he's gay, but that episode is amazing, and everybody should watch it. Oh, he's so weird, and I love it. But like his drive to do things is incredible.
Yeah.
Did you hear about his whole like trying to get approved for the Burj Khalifa thing? For Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol?
Sorry, for Mission Impossible. I remember seeing that, and it's been a long time since I don't remember. But I mean, yeah, he's.
There was a thing where essentially he went to his safety guy.
Oh, okay,
and said,
it's this story.
I want to do this, and so instead of going, okay, the safety guy was like, no, that's insane.
Fired the safety guy,
and then, he fired the safety guy and got a new one because that's the way that he does things. He doesn't want to be told no; he wants to be told how.
Yeah,
and I respect that. If everybody on Earth had the same drive as Tom Cruise, I'm not even joking, we would probably have like livable biomes in space, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Or we'd all be dead.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's both admirable and at the same time it inherently usually makes those kind of people difficult, but they are the kind of people that get results. And so as much as a lot of people don't like them, if you didn't have them in the world, civilization would just stagnate.
I genuinely feel it's some sort of weird combination of like obsessive compulsive disorder and like narcissistic personality disorder.
He has some great reactions here, by the way, of just like, what is happening right now?
He emotes so well. Like, I like this because they have established that the mummy is like somewhat sexual in her nature. She's trying to create a mate. And so it's not out of place that she starts acting a little bit sexual, and it's so uncomfortable, and I love that.
Well, again, here, like, the effects work is very good.
Mm-hmm.
Which do you know which effects company did this?
Which effects company did this? I did not look that up. I'm going to find that out because now I'm curious.
But to say, I don't think this was ILM. I don't think they had that kind of budget, but it's really good.
Yeah, visual effects, art, makeup, and design. Wow, the makeup did a lot here.
The stone. Crap, I'm missing my red stone. That moment where they get the timing of them all turning their heads. See, those are the things where it's like if you wanted to have fun, those little takes, those little moments of like, you can have fun with it. If they had wanted to, they could have done that kind of movie. And then even here, I really think that this was kind of an homage to Brendan Fraser's action scene with the sword at the end of the first movie, where he's got the sacrificial table. He's kind of he goes around the whole table here, right, and kind of fights a bunch of mummies, does some funny stuff, using the head of one to kill the other, and like they could have done it, but it's just again
ILM and Double Negative.
Oh, it was ILM. Okay, well, that makes sense. I mean, they're very, very good. So but having this type of an action scene mixed with, where the two cops find the mummies, it's weird.
I get that, but I don't know. I like it because I like both of those things, right? So it doesn't bother me because I'm like, yes, she's making zombies. She's being creepy. And now we're showing that he's a soldier. And if she's making zombies, you know what that means, right? We need to kill zombies. And that's good because mummies are zombies. They're just like really, really bureaucratic zombies.
Have you noticed also, as soon as we got out of Iraq, that this movie got that very, overused kind of gray filter on the whole thing that so many films of this time did?
Very Alex Kurtzman.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It just becomes it makes it all like, again, comparing this to the 1999 Mummy, which was so vibrant, right?
Hmm. Well, it's like the Mexico piss filter. Okay, you know about that, right?
I've heard the term. Go ahead.
So, for those of you who don't know, there's a term that's used. I've heard it mainly from VFX guys. Of whenever you have characters who go to Mexico in movies, suddenly it looks like a new filter has been put over the camera, which it does. They do this also for the Middle East, where it looks like you're watching the movie through a filter made of pee, because it's this yellow green, hazy almost. England has the same thing, but nobody really pays attention to it. It has the blue haze fog.
Yeah.
And so this movie leans very heavily into it. If you ever go and watch the last James Bond movie, No Time to Die, it does the same thing. And several other movies of its type. But they need to show that they're in England. How are they going to show that they're in England and not in just like rural Appalachia? Stick a blue filter over it. It's
make it
so
foggy.
British because it's dull and foggy.
Yep. Now, do you think that they're doing a little bit of a homage to Raiders here?
Like which part?
I mean, just this whole fighting while driving thing. I mean, I know it's been done in a lot of movies, but I feel like a lot of these action beats are very much like here on the front hood and kind of falling down, and I'm like fighting but also punching. I know I'm getting like there was definitely a little bit of inspiration from Raiders here. The
I'm blanking. When did they fight in a car like this in Raiders?
Well, Indy didn't have he didn't have anybody else with him, but in the convoy where the arcs in the back that he got up into it, and he had the Nazis in the back. They kept crawling up to the front to try to fight him.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
There's some very blatant homages in this movie, especially with like the conversation with Jake Johnson in the bathroom, very much being like American Werewolf in Paris. Later, what's his face? Russell Crowe pulls a line out of Bride of Frankenstein. But I don't know. This just seemed like we need another action sequence, and it can't be just another action sequence of Tom Cruise being knocked around by the mummy, because that's half the action sequences in this movie. What's something interesting? Well, we've got zombies, we've got a car. We want to have another car crash because Alex Kurtzman loves crashing vehicles. So let's have a car chase with zombies.
No, this
And
whole again,
I was fine with it.
this whole get her Nick, and then just the like comical like. I almost expected like that cliche like the yell like
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And
Here we go.
like
They arrive in the nick of time.
this is another one of those things that people are just like, oh, right in the nick of time. It did show her calling them.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's well done, but people who say that it's a plot hole are like heavily convenient. It's convenient.
Yeah,
but
I
there's
mean,
a reason why these guys are showing up
every action
and
film
why
in
they're
history-
showing up in such force.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
I mean, every action film ever made, including the ones that we hold down as amazing, have very convenient plot development in order to solve problems. I mean, they all do.
Mhm.
And it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did you know that this actor
Good.
was Jafar in the live action Aladdin?
Oh.
And apparently he had a bigger part that got lost in editing.
I've still never seen that movie. Interesting.
It's not terrible, but it's not good enough. A lot of people give Will Smith crap for being the genie, but no genie was ever going to live up to Robin Williams, and he did a decent job.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of other reviewers and stuff describe this sequence as being gratuitous. This is the type of gratuity that I want.
Yeah.
This is the type of thing that I attach to because I love shit like this. I love the BPRD in Hellboy, and it has so much of those vibes. Creature from the Black Lagoon is that giant squid. It's that 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but that's Disney. It's supposed to be like a kraken. There's a vampire skull. That's freaking awesome. I like that. It's showing that he's in this weird place. He's fish out of water while also giving you little like Easter eggs. I'm all for that. But for some reason, apparently that's derided.
Well, I think
I get it.
Yeah, you definitely run into the issue where once a movie is kind of decided as being bad, all the things get piled on, and they almost all get, kind of weighted more heavily because the movie's bad. And when a movie's decided to be good, you could have the exact same stuff in it, but you go with it, you forgive it, you're okay with it. It's just, and it's a human thing. We all do to a certain extent. We'll kind of excuse the things when, and I'm not saying that there isn't objectively good and bad. There absolutely are, but there's a lot of the stuff you're describing that I do think people wouldn't care about, or would actually find a way to twist into something good, or find a way to claim it as something good if the movie worked as a whole better. And so that is the kind of disingenuous criticism that, as much as I don't think this is a good movie, is also annoying, because those are the kind of things that none of those reviewers would have any problem with if this movie was fun and entertaining and people liked it.
Here we have the introduction of Russell Crowe's Jekyll, obviously Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and big fan of it in the way that it's done, or at least in how he portrays it. I think that he did a great job. He obviously doesn't give a shit about this movie, and he's just having fun and chewing up the scenery. The implication that he's incredibly long-lived, perhaps even immortal, you see that in like the amount of scarring on his hands, and things like that, and all of his degrees and stuff. I don't know. It adds a mystique to the character that I don't think is badly done, though I do find his whole injection rig here to be needlessly complicated for what he needs.
Yeah. So, anybody listening to this, Caravan of Garbage released their episode about this film very close to our recording of this, which was just funny timing, because those guys are genuinely funny, and their whole thing about this was like, yep, that's true. Not only is this super complicated, you have to do it really often, and you don't leave it like ready. Like, if they basically, you leave it to the very last minute, and it's just the way that they described it in their video, I thought was, it's just funny. It is funny.
Yeah, that's another one of those things where I'm sitting here like, oh man, if they had decided, oh, we really want to have this in here and have a reason why it would show it. He's obviously dealing with a lot right now, right? He's got Tom Cruise here. He's got the Mummy here. So in theory, you could have written it in somehow that he, being so distracted by all these things, was a little bit behind on it. So he didn't prep his next injector or something like that. You just need an assistant to be like, sir, make sure that you get your stuff, whatever. There's a way to do it where it isn't as just ridiculously stupid as how they did it in here. It just drives me nuts because I love everything surrounding the character in here, except like how dumb his injector deal is.
Yeah, I do like that he's got like the one hand that he uses. It's kind of the glove. The little bit of him that never really turns back. Like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I like that everything's a little bit connected to a reason. It's not just these things are randomly happening. She's looking. Our blonde lead here is looking for this mummy in the first place. There's a logical progression to the events. They're including the Mercury, which would explain why she's what's the word that I'm looking for? She's calm. She's containable, I should say.
Yeah. Do you think that if you had restructured this to kind of have the reveal of an organization who's actively working at all this, kind of follow the, you copy the MCU even more if you're going back to Iron Man, where you kind of save all of this for kind of a reveal at the very end of the film, that it would be better? Do you think that it works putting it kind of the middle here?
You'd have to restructure the entire movie. I think that giving her a chance, kind of like Skyfall, Star Trek Into Darkness. This has a very Star Trek Into Darkness vibe if you really dissect the story. There's a lot of one-to-one on it. And one of those things is having the villain be captured so you can get FaceTime between the hero and the villain. And I think that is something necessary. and works. I don't like how it's done. I think that they needed more time. Her interaction with the chick a little bit later is stupid. Um, there could have been so much. There could have been a way better version of this, and it's one of those just wasted opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this dialogue right here. It's again,
Forced?
you can
Stupid?
do a kind of wounded persona, somebody who was deeply hurt and who reacted, obviously very irrationally.
Brashly.
Rashly, that's the right way to put it. Yeah.
Brash.
Yeah. But
Brash.
like there is a way to do that and make you like understand why a character would do what they did. And this movie just didn't do it. Like right there, they kind of almost started down the dialogue path that could have like created that character motivation, but they didn't nail it.
But this is the third time we're going into flashbacks.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They over
And
explain
it's
the heck out of this thing, and they really love
Mhm.
showing her naked behind stuff too. It's like,
She's one of those actresses that unfortunately that's kind of become her shtick. Her name's Sophia Boutella. I remember first seeing her in the movie Kingsman, and then in 2016 she
that's
was
right,
a
she had the
lead
legs,
in
right?
Star Trek Beyond. Uh-huh. She was a female lead in Star Trek Beyond, and she was really good in Star Trek Beyond. She was fine, but all of these other things that have followed, she's been in stuff like she was in Atomic Blonde, okay, which was supposed to be like the female-led John Wick with Charlize Theron. And all that she is in that is to be the sexy girl who has sex with Charlize Theron. That's her role. And then other movies that have followed that, which you could look up, things like Climax and Modern Love, and you wonder about the stuff that's going to be happening in those. Um, Followed by just an unfortunate bunch of movies, things like Argyle and the Rebel Moon movies. She just does not know how to pick a movie. She needs to fire her agent.
yeah. Rebel
Yeah.
Moon movies, I still need to watch those at some point because it's like morbidly curious about them, given their reputation.
They're not as horrible, much like this. There's things that are excusable in them if the main core of the movie wasn't so rotten. It's the ultimate Zack Snyder gratuity, and it just feels like it should have been a larger budget. Um, because it has some cool sci-fi stuff
They had a
that
lot
all
of money.
takes place. Well, then why does it look like it was filmed in the middle of the um, you know, Southern California hills?
Yeah.
Obviously it was, but it looks, maybe it's just because I've lived in those hills. I'm used to them. I might be problematic, right? Or not problematic. There's another word for that. Bias. But that's boring and it's ugly and it's brown. And the whole movies can be described as boring and ugly and brown, mixed with a nonsensical script and Critical Drinker's breakdown of the assassination scene from the second movie
Yeah.
is incredible.
Yeah, he's definitely over the top at times, but sometimes he really nails it. Anyways,
What did we just talk through?
it's just the whole, it was just trying to make the story matter by reviewing things once again and trying to give Tom Cruise and what's her face. I don't even know these characters. His character's name is Nick Morton. I remember that because our conversation. in the
Jenny.
bathroom. Jenny.
Her name is Jenny.
Wanting it to like
Jenny.
wanting them to have a connection, and they just don't.
Yeah. You see, I like this idea. I like the idea of the Crusaders having kind of a part in this. The daggers split up and she needs to reunite it, and she's able to sense it now that it's been found. You see, all of these things I think are fine story beats if they were just slightly rearranged. And I know that that means that they're not fine. And also, this is something, the word of the old gods, right? And it's just the way that the capitalization is this supposed to be leaning into a Lovecraftian thing? Also, that line of dialogue kills me. Your language is simple. She should have been like, your language is nonsensical because English is nonsense.
It is not the most precise language ever created.
No, it's three languages in a trench coat pretending to be one. Um, but yeah, see,
It's
this is just the
yeah.
dialogue is so bad. And if she's dealing with these gods and monsters, then that's what gets her. Like, she should be asking more questions. There should be a showing of her character as strong and curious and maybe getting a little bit more. This is another scene where more exposition could be really good, right? And you didn't need the first exposition. You didn't need the third exposition. Have it be in the plane. Have it be in this scene. And suddenly you get the entire story of the character in only two scenes. And it's concise, and you're able to establish something in the first flashback and then add other context or secrets in the second flashback, which would then make the character more compelling and or more dangerous. That's me thing.
The okay. There's yeah. I feel like the movie is trying to maintain tension during all this and give you give you information, but this is dragging. Like, again, this is where the movie's feeling its length, because it keeps cutting back to her. They had all the conversation between you had Tom Cruise talking to her, then you had Tom Cruise talking to her, to the lady Jenny, and now you've got them talking. It's just, and they keep having him like right on the edge, which is interesting because they're kind of doing the whole like he's barely in control, or he waits till like the very last second to take his medication. It's
It's annoying and weird.
Yeah. Well, and also too, here you have Russell Crowe and Tom Cruise. They're both good
Great
actors, and this is just they don't have. I mean, this is weird to say. Like, they don't have chemistry. Like, obviously any actress can have chemistry, but there's no like they're just talking to each other here. It's not funny. It's not interesting. I don't know. This is all very flat to me, and I'm bored. Sorry.
Yes, this is one of those moments, I completely agree, where they're having this conversation. I think that they should have been having the conversation in either a different place, or it should have been filmed differently, instead of it's just like, here's a bus shot, here's a bus shot, here's a bus shot, here's a bus shot, information, information, information. It's just like that's bland. You need, if you're going to have two characters just talking to each other that you're not super invested in yet, which there's no reason to be invested with them at this time, you need to have them doing something. You need to have them in an interesting environment. Give them something to look at other than just look at these two guys in their 50s. You know what I mean?
And it's
I like this escape plan also. They did establish her aptitude for vermin already, so I like it.
Well, and like here, what they're talking about, the idea that it's because they're kind of playing it for laughs here. But the idea of like, okay, what we actually need to do is do what she wants to do. But, oh man, it just, there's, this could have been interesting if it had been, because again, the idea that the people who are supposedly trying to help him and control, not help him, the people who are, this is just, yeah. Oh,
very
man, sorry, it's just like creeps the heck out of me, man. But
yeah, I feel like imagine if they hit. Oh, I'm sorry. Continue.
Well, just really fast. Just the idea here. What the idea they're discussing is very interesting, but it's just the way they're doing this, because they're having it with him turning, but they're also trying to kind of play it like it's goofy. Like, oh, you want to do what? That's a horrible idea. What? It's just and then turning this into an excuse to have them fight a little bit. There's so many strange choices here. But go ahead.
You see. Okay, imagine if you had it to where it is establishing that she has her vermin, right? And she has a psychic connection with Tom Cruise. Have it that she's controlling vermin around it. He has this discussion with Jenny, And he's like, well, we're going to have to kill him. She's getting all bent out of shape. Meanwhile, Amunet psychically is transferring the conversation into Nick's mind, into Tom Cruise's mind. And so he then has an in-character like temper tantrum and bursts in and it's just like, you're going to do what to me? And he takes the thing and it causes the Hyde problem. And you then have conflict. You have the mummy being manipulative, right? It wouldn't be that difficult to do. And it would make the scene a little bit more interesting and a little bit more tense. So that's again, just an idea that I've had off the cuff.
No,
because I really wish that this movie could have succeeded. And it's like, it has all the right pieces for it, and it didn't.
And even here, so I get it. You want to have an excuse to see, Hyde come out for a little bit, but it's also just because he's still like in control enough to kind of be talking to him, and he's strong, but he's not like killing Tom Cruise instantly. It's like it's a weird like mixture of how I don't know I don't even know.
It's a Jekyll and Hyde. That's I don't think there's anything wrong with this scene of Jekyll and Hyde. I think it's great. I love how he's just like chewing up the scenery.
Yeah.
And the script and everything like that. I like it. I think the idea of showing his Hyde side is good because my personal prediction is that if they'd continued with these movies, the big bad guy at the end of it would have actually been Hyde, kind of manipulating everything. And so they need to establish him from the beginning so you have emotional investment in the villain.
I mean, I assume that this is not like full strength Hyde, right? Like Hyde.
Well, Hyde was never like a superhero level strength. He was just evil. It had nothing to do. This whole thing of Hyde being almost superhero like strong comes almost entirely from stuff like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And here we have our.
Nope. There you go. A little cameo there.
Cameo. For those of you who don't know, she just used the Book of Amun-Ra, which was the golden book from the original Mummy movie used to kill the mummy, which they also had a slight cue from the Mummy music, implying that this is actually a sequel to the 1999 Mummy and not a remake. Take that as you will. So yeah.
This turn here where she is now fully committed to save him.
Mm-hmm.
The movie has not done anything to make us think that she would be this committed to him.
Unless it was like her brother or something instead of a love interest that she had a one-night stand with.
That's what I said. This movie has done nothing to make us think that. Could you
right?
do that? Of course you could. This movie is not.
I kind of feel like I'm being really annoying to anybody listening, including yourself, where it's like, I see what could be a better movie, and it's incredibly arrogant of me to sit here and think that I could do better than these people with a $200 million budget, right? And I want it to be good, and I have these ideas in my brain of how much better it could be, and I just wish that it was,
Yeah. And I think that definitely there's validity by all means to that, but I think that it's fair to this is not some travesty, some like horrifically bad film. This is not Batman and Robin, right?
Yeah.
But this also, I mean, like, so I actually think this might be controversial. I think this is better than Tomb of the Emperor's Tomb, or Tomb of the Emperor.
Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. It's better than that.
I agree.
So I mean, it's sort of, this you got to have Tom Cruise run, right? You have to have this shot. of him running
That
towards the
shot
camera.
of them running through the museum is actually one of my least favorite shots in the movie. I think it looks terrible.
Well, I'm not saying it's good. I just said you have to have the shot of Tom Cruise running towards the camera. It's required. It's in his contract, man.
It has to be.
But okay, there was the whole like it's I could totally get a writer being like these four guys. Sorry, like we're gonna lock the door behind us, and we're gonna like, what do you guys think you're gonna do? You know what this is? Like, no, just lock the door. What's your
At
plan?
least get some crates to kneel in front of. Get some cover.
Because they actually stand there for quite a while. Like if you track like how long they've just been like, all right, we're gonna stand here all tense and on guard for like quite a while. Mm-hmm. So
I think that this is like her best part of the movie. She looks good. She looks threatening. She looks evil. I like the aesthetic. She's like fully healed.
Yeah. Well, they got her like color good as far as like still looking very ashen, but like kind of scarily beautiful still, because she is a striking woman. Like there's no doubt of that. The idea of all of the using the glass to kind of turn it back into sand, not perfectly scientifically accurate, but still like, you know, you get your little homage shot there, the face in the sand. I did like
I like these cars.
Yeah. The little shot coming up here with the bus, where I think you're expecting him to go all the way through it, but the way it stops in the middle of it is actually, I think this is what well done shot.
Yeah.
Because it kind of what's the term? A little bit of expectation, you know, like you think it's going to go one way, and it actually ends up being a little bit fun.
Yeah. Do you think it's a reference to The Mummy Returns with the double-decker bus?
Yeah. That was intense.
A lot of people got mad at that. That was intense line. I never had any problems with it. It was literally mentioned in every single review that I watched. And I'm sitting there just like, I love the look on Jake Johnson's face. I love the way that he does that. I think that he looked just really good and really cool. Or not cool. He looked funny.
Yeah.
And I love his delivery of the line. So I didn't mind it at all.
No, it was fun. I think that fully falls into what I was describing earlier. You know, things that if this was a better film, people would be praising that as being a great moment versus like, oh, it's just, you know, there definitely is dogpiling. We talked about it like, well, like I think about it when we did Iron Man 2. The movie has plenty of issues, but it also gets you know, a lot of hate that's not deserved. I'm not saying this movie's at that level, but there's just that weird human thing about we've got to, you know, once something gets past some line where it is now, I almost think that, and there's been some videos I've seen about this, some discussions I've seen about this, the Rotten Tomatoes effect, where there's some
once it is bad, it is fully bad.
Yeah, like once it's past this arbitrary line, it's now awful versus good, and it's like there's that's just not how, it's not binary. Almost no art is binarily good or bad, and it's just it's unfortunate because the internet era, the social media era, the echo chamber era of the modern day has just turned all opinions into, you got to pick a side and you got to die on that side, you know.
One of the things very similar to that is speaking with Star Wars fans about the movie The Last Jedi, which that movie
really
single-handedly derailed everything with Star Wars, right? But there are some things in that movie that are genuinely fantastic that make me sit there and go like, oh, I wish Rian Johnson could write and direct his own Star Wars with a little bit more like guidance from the creatives versus how they handled it. But that idea is almost completely anathema among the majority of Star Wars fans who, since it is bad and ruined the series, it's all bad. Everything about it is horrendous. All of it should be scrubbed from history forever. Which, you know, I wouldn't mind if that movie was scrubbed from history forever, but I'm not going to condemn every single thing in it. There were some amazingly good things in that movie.
Yeah.
But not enough to save it.
No, I'm firmly in the camp of Rian Johnson tricked people into thinking that he was a good filmmaker, and he's actually not. Anyways, actually, and I
like the mummy zombie things with the Crusader shit.
Say we're gonna get distracted. Get back to this. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, having I think differentiating them by having the remnants of the Crusader kind of garb, and I mean, it's a universally recognized you kind of look, right? Man, her hands always creep me
Yeah.
out, like the broken nails, and you can see the remnant of the blue paint from it. Just all that. It's just man, whoever did the makeup job on her
Yeah. The
is
makeup
really
and set design in
solid.
this movie, with the exception of the wig in this scene, I hate her wig. It looks so fake. But everything else about like the makeup and set design of this ending, I think is just great. Um,
It
like this whole
really, really
thing going
seemed
on
like
here.
a breakaway brick wall. By the way, that like the ease they went through that wall and the perfect breakaway, like all the perfect like brick pattern hole. It was. Anyways,
Okay, fine. Just undo everything I said. That's fine. That's fine.
sorry.
I like the inclusion of this whole like water set though. One, I mean, Tom Cruise around the time this movie was being made, he was training for that 8 minute long scene in
Rogue Nation.
Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation.
Yep.
Um,
Guy can hold his breath.
Mm-hmm.
That's creepy.
Yeah, like I said, it's a good choice because it's not something you see in a lot of action movies or superhero movies. Are these big practical effect underwater sets?
Yeah.
So it did make it stand out. But it was very
Well, there is
wasted.
something just so primally terrifying about being trapped underwater. Like it's one of those things you don't need to explain to a human why it's scary. Although,
Oh yeah, drowning is quite literally my biggest fear.
yeah. I mean, this does suffer from, the problem that every underwater scene has, which is this is like the most pristine, well-lit water ever. Like, where is the light coming from?
The
But
light is coming from the same place as the music.
yes, it is. I mean, so it's like this movie I would never consider that to be a valid critique of this film because every movie does it, so it's fine. But I always like laugh at it because this would be pitch black and this water would be so nasty.
Yeah. But I love the underwater mummies and the tombs and everything. Feels very Last Crusade
Yeah.
in some ways,
But that movie,
But could
at
you
least
imagine these guys
did
having
get
to
how nasty
swim
the
in
catacombs
mummy
were.
makeup?
Ooh, yeah. Well, I don't think most of those guys are real. I think most of that's CG.
I don't know. There were a couple of scenes where it was either some of the best CG I've ever seen or it was just really good makeup underwater stuff, Like some of them are obviously CG, but there were a few scenes where I'm like, that looks too real. But again, I also saw an incredibly realistic looking Pikachu that was spliced into Saving Private Ryan earlier today because that's an AI trend right now.
Okay. I did.
No, dude, look it up. Putting Pikachu in other movies using some of these AI video generations. Horrifying technology when you really think about it, but at the same time, Pikachu at D-Day, that's kind of funny.
I mean, yeah. I do. It's when at first I was like, wait, what's happening? It's like, yeah, of course they're not trying to kill him. They have no desire to kill him. They're just, their job is just to contain him, to keep him from escaping, so that she can get here and do her thing.
Yeah, this is the part that underwhelmed me a lot. I wanted a stronger climax. This is the time when I wanted the Brendan Fraser end of the Mummy action sequence. Him getting mad at these guys and like going after her with a sword or something like that, and he fights these Crusader mummies with a sword. That would have been a really cool action sequence.
Yeah.
But it all just kind of goes into this, and she like tosses him around here for a little bit, and then everything else happens, and it just kind of ends. And I'm like, okay.
Well, and it's also an odd. I'm not saying the movie needs to like explain this in any kind of really deep whatever, but there's he obviously like he survived the plane crash without a scratch, so he's like immortal already. but he also
Yeah,
is
she's
like human.
cursed
you know?
him to be immortal until she can put Set into him.
Yeah,
Essentially, the whole thing is that he can't die until she dies, and she will never stop pursuing him to make him Set. So he's screwed one way or another.
yeah.
His only chance to live a normal life, to get out of this curse, is to kill her or to be a willing vessel of Set and become this god of death. Um, but yeah, there's a
I love how annoyed she looks. Like, did you seriously just do that? And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like, oh.
yeah,
Oh.
that hurt. Ugh, crowbar. Like
In a way,
stunts like that are just so good looking,
Oh, yeah.
and I love how it all looks, but all the connective tissue is just not there for me, you know?
yeah. Well, and I also just feel like the movie has not, even though this is, there's some good stunt work. I still don't feel the stakes here. Like what
No.
like what really happens here? And we haven't, like, if Brendan Fraser, the idea of like Brendan Fraser's character being like killed or turned evil or something, because you just loved him so much by the end of that movie, that the audience would be like, no, because they're so invested in him. At this point, you're just like, I don't, this is just whatever. There's
Yeah.
not stakes that the audience has gotten invested in. And I almost feel like this is an interesting version of like Wolverine, because Wolverine feels the like all of the pain and hit. He might heal, but he still goes through he still feels it all. And so this is like the idea of like, I get to feel all the pain, yet I can't die, and I heal almost immediately. So it's like the worst of it.
All they needed in this scene was for her to be like, as Set, you could have the power over life and death, and it would suddenly make it more like compelling, more reasonable, interesting, you know?
Yeah, because
Like she has this "you'll be a living god."
she
Yeah,
says
there's the
here,
line,
you'll have
over life and
power,
death, you know?
but they don't, and they kind of look over at her like, okay, so, because again, they're trying to say, hey, this woman that that you had a one night stand with, that you're desperately in love with, apparently, you could save her by taking this, but it's still. Like, and the difference
It would work
of him
under
doing
a
this
different
to himself.
context.
Yeah, well, and also the difference of him doing this to himself versus her doing this to him is not quite clear, and it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah, again, that's another one of those things where if they had set it up so that there's this bond, not necessarily she's this enigma, and that's a problem, where you only have Set. I think you needed like a mated pair of gods, where she needed to summon him, and it would almost be like this merging, this marriage, but him doing it to himself gives him a freedom from entanglement from her. And so now he's merged with Set, and she has no more influence over him. And I actually really like this four pupil thing, this idea that there's now something living inside of him that is watching out of his eyes. I don't think a lot of people kind of picked up on that as symbolism, because so many people in reviews were like, why do they have this pupil thing? It's because he's no longer alone in his body.
yeah.
And I thought it was a really good look, you know?
So who's she possessed by then? She's got the same thing.
That's just it. It doesn't say. She was just given power, and it makes no sense in its writing, and it will forever bother me. I will forever be angry at this movie because it had all of these pieces that were just right, and they biffed it. And I swear he said senpai there the first time I saw it, and I'm like, no, Egypt, not Japan.
I do think that this is at least well shot here. That the whole kind of conflict of, like I said, if they had done a better job setting up the connection that they had here, but in a vacuum, this little kind of back and forth of him fighting this and the eyes going back and forth, I think is well done, is good.
I'm not usually a big fan of like flashbacks to previous dialogue to make these type of turns make sense.
It's very anime.
I think that very anime. I think that this one isn't as egregious as others. I like the flashback, especially to Jekyll, as he's explaining it. I like that he uses her own powers against her. I think this is a really good effect, and the death is very visceral.
Oh yeah, her like re-shriveling, and especially when she gets kind of tossed off this grave, that she's like in that like almost the fetal position is very effective. It really is.
Yeah,
it just sells the like. I mean, for a tiny second, you almost feel bad for her.
Yeah. The shot of like her feet and legs as they're shriveling up towards her body, that one had like a genuine effect on me. I was just like, ugh, I could like feel it, you know? And I thought that it was well done. It's one of those scenes where I didn't like what came before it, but I did like that actual scene. And this solution where he is now this cursed amalgamated creature. And so you have killed the mummy, you have killed the antagonist, but now you do have something to move forward with into a sequel that is compelling. It's just not done well.
Well, and the idea here that like, okay, so he like gives into like Set here to like bring her back a little bit. Is that what this is supposed to be?
Yeah, I think he's bartering with Set almost. Like if I was writing this as a novel, he would be like having a conversation when he goes Dr. Michael Morbius on here, in order to bring her back, this was what, 6 years before Morbius? And the fact that he looks so much like Jared Leto in that scene is hilarious. It's great. But I would imagine a conversation between the two of them as they're like making demands of each other.
I do like this though.
It results in him becoming.
I like her seeing the mummy, and then this whole conversation with him, but he like doesn't want to show himself to her. I expected them to have some reveal where he comes out of the shadow and like looks like Set somehow, and the fact that they just kind of let this play where he just stays hidden. And they just have this conversation where she kind of, I don't know. I actually, again, in a vacuum, I think that this scene is pretty good.
I agree. I really like this scene. I think that this is actually the scene that like got me. It really made me sit here and go, man, I want to see more of this. I want to know what's going to happen to him, what's going to happen to his character. And I wanted to see more of this universe. And it was largely because of essentially from the moment he stabbed himself up till now.
Well, and this is an example where, and this is where I wish movie studios would have like taken a shot, because this movie either kind of didn't make money or barely broke even. Depends on how you kind of look at the math and the back end on like streaming and home video sales, which were still a little bit of a thing back then. Like, I mean, this movie wasn't some massive disappointment financially, but it also by no means was a success. If you had taken the shot on a sequel, but been like, okay, how do we, like, if you had nailed a sequel to this, you could have saved this with a banger sequel. You absolutely could have.
I agree.
But they just gave up.
Like, do you know how much money this movie made?
It was like 410-ish or something like that, right? Globally.
$410 million. And you're right. They pushed the marketing on it. It had around $185 million budget. So it didn't, I don't necessarily know if it lost money. So except for the fact that they were like gearing up all of these other movies and putting money into that, and it failing, and the cancellation of those projects led to a net loss. But I think that's still $410 million.
Well, especially globally.
If they then went, okay, let's make a different movie that's a little smaller in terms of budget, and we don't go as over the top on marketing and see if it makes the same amount of money.
Yeah. Well, because
And
they
he-
also, I'm sure
yeah.
that they counted the crazy development time of this film. The fact they went through like 3 different directors and, just was in development for, almost 10 years, was all probably wrapped up into the Hollywood accounting for why this movie, was a massive loss. It's just, so I was this just flashed through my head as an example of, you have Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim is a way better film than this, by the way, but
Much.
it isn't a major success, but there's enough there. It's like, hey, let's try again. But if you actually didn't make Uprising, but you made a great film, you would have had a franchise. And this is where, if you brought in a good writer and you said, okay, like, let's figure out what worked, what didn't, how do we take, at this point you're kind of, you're married to Tom Cruise, that's fine. So how do you make this work with him and his strengths? Find, you have a lot that you could, and you didn't have to make the next movie focus on him. You could have just found a way to make a banger next film, bring in, have Russell Crowe do something more interesting with that, have bring in the Invisible Man or something else along. I mean, I'm spitballing here, but at least try one more direct sequel to this, not just something else in the Dark Universe, because I know they did that stuff. I know they did a few other, right? They did the Invisible Man movie, I think, or something like that.
Well, okay, well, that's not Dark Universe, because they essentially canceled this entire Dark Universe shared universe idea. There is no sequel to this movie whatsoever.
Okay.
There's no spinoff to it, nothing.
Yeah.
After this movie's failure, they started entirely new things, starting with The Invisible Man. The movie that was supposed to come after this was actually a Bride of Frankenstein movie,
Oh, that's right, with
starring Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
Which good choice for Bride of Frankenstein, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that Invisible Man movie is great. Like, damn, it's really good. Just putting that out there. Directed by Alex Kurtzman. Go to hell, Alex Kurtzman.
Yeah,
I don't actually hate the man. I think that he's really trying to make something he likes, but he doesn't have what it takes to really lead Star Trek and The Mummy.
Yeah. No, it's this. I love
executive producer Roberto Orsi.
Yeah. I mean, I love classic literature. I would have really enjoyed them. And I do think that there's having an adventure film with some darkness to it. Like there's an appetite for that. It's just it's hard to do, and I feel like there's just a hesitancy for whatever reason in so many studios to commit to it, to a tone of like, let's still have this be, the sense of adventure and kind of fun, while at the same time having real stakes and a seriousness to it, while at the same time, embracing that somewhat of an Indiana Jones vibe, an Uncharted vibe. I mean, what's interesting is that video games have managed to do this well. Uncharted did it well. The Tomb Raider series is, not every movie, but not every game, but several of them have nailed that tone. There's ways to do it, and it's been hard for film to do it for some reason, and it's a shame because a kind of global adventure. This is also a series that would have a lot of global appeal outside the United States. So it would make sense.
It only made like $100 million in the United States. Yeah. That's $310 million from outside the United States.
Well, and Tom Cruise is actually quite viable outside the United States. He's Mission Impossible, I think the last several have done better internationally. I'm not defending him as the best choice for this, but when you want to appeal to the international audience, he's a viable star there. But
he is the definition of an international superstar at this point.
But it's it is a shame. I think that I think you could make this better in the edit for sure. I think that you could if you wanted to make it short and really tight, you could make like an hour and 35-hour, 40-minute movie and not be so redundant on the flashbacks and kind of just, if you wanted to do that style movie, or you could do a longer film. I mean, the original Mummy was what, 2 hours and 10 minutes? It was over 2 hours.
Yeah, I believe 2 hours and 9 minutes.
And you can make a longer film where because that movie really went through, you had the starting, action sequence. Then you went back to England. Then you went back to Hamunaptra. Then you went back to, it was Cairo or whatever. It went back to the city and all the stuff there, and then back to the tomb again. And you had a lot of location changes. I mean, you could definitely do a longer film where you could have done some lore building in some more interesting way and had some, I don't know, this is the kind of thing where, like, on paper, it shouldn't be that hard to do this. But apparently it is, because, they took a long time to develop it, and then even when they did finally pull the trigger on it, they came up with this, so.
They did indeed. I personally have this idea that I have an outline for it that I'm kind of thinking of trying to write out into, like, a short novel. For those of you who don't know, I like to write, and I've written several novel-length stories of trying to do, like, a kind of Indiana Jones-esque adventure based on ideas that I came up with while thinking about how I could fix this movie. And I thought about, what if you took the story and set it in a different time period? And I liked this idea of, like, the Nazis find a mummy, and they're taking it back to Germany, and they put it on a train at one point in Europe, and it, like, crashes because of war stuff, and you now have a mummy that's loose in Central Europe during World War II. I love that idea. I have a whole thing for it. But I love the Mummy. I love the idea of the Dark Universe, and I'm really disappointed that this movie couldn't pull off a stronger beginning, because I wanted it to succeed. Almost all of these other major franchise starter movies, I've been like, go away, you're stupid, you're not Marvel, you're not DC. DC couldn't even get it right. The closest that seems to have come was, like, Godzilla and Kong, and everything since Godzilla versus Kong has been kind of crap.
Yeah.
And I desperately wanted it to succeed, and it didn't.
Does it make it almost worse for you, just because?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the promise of something interesting that is not delivered. And that it's like a TV show that gets canceled after one season when you know that the second season could have been better than the first.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have 101 degree fever. So I think it's time that we say goodbye to Mummy Month, Brian.
We it's been fun, I mean, as much as there's this we watched one amazing film, one really interesting film in the 1939 or 1932. And then Mummy Returns, I have a soft spot for, even though, there's probably as much bad there as there is good, and then 2 bad movies. So
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure.
If you had to rank them, I would say, I mean, obviously, 1999 Mummy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Easy first one.
Out of just pure interestingness, 32. Then The Mummy Returns. Then this. Then Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
I would agree. But yeah, let's wrap up this, and then we are getting back to some good old-fashioned science fiction next week. So I'll just tease to that. It is one of the best Star Trek films. That's not a Star Trek film. That's the tease. So, anyways,
yes, it is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I am super stoked. We're also going to be having Patrick back.
Yep. Please join us. But have a good night, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us for Mummy Month, and Brian, you're a real trooper. Have a good rest of your night, everybody.
Thanks, my friend. Bye.
There's doors and corners, kid. If you don't clear the room, if you don't come in slow, that room will eat you.